Gibbs Jr.
The deagle never made much sense to me, since it one-shots.
You can't blame me for that.
And the sniper doesn't, yet the sniper straight up has a higher caliber than the deagle. The deagle isn't even ever called the Desert Eagle. The game calls it the Magnum. Not even the characters call it the Desert Eagle, which is weird because the name is so iconic. The pistols, man, oh man, oh man. I got a lot of flack for talking smack about the pistols. I even got called out saying they were nerfed, except they were. It was just indirectly nerfed. The pistols from Left 4 Dead 1 and Left 4 Dead 2 have identical stats. They don't do more damage, they don't do less damage. But the indirect nerf is that Left 4 Dead 1's pistols were the only secondary in the game. Thus, they were guaranteed to spawn somewhere in the map. In other words, they had a higher spawn rate, so you get dual pistols instead of running around with a single pistol. And because Left 4 Dead 2 has so many secondaries now, the chances of finding a second pistol becomes rarer and rarer. Well, this is mostly for custom maps, not for the Valve campaigns. So yeah, I read every comment, and you know what? You think I'm stupid, but I'm not. The turrets are a very untouched topic in the Left 4 Dead 2 community. I think it's because there isn't much to them to talk about, except I find reasons to talk about everything in this game. Despite people saying I've run out of ideas, I still got plenty of ideas left in the freaking boiler. There are two versions of the turret, the Left 4 Dead 1 version and the Left 4 Dead 2 version. I think the idea with these turrets is that the Left 4 Dead 2 version is better at taking specials, but the Left 4 Dead 1 minigun is better at taking down common infected. This is apparent because of the way the weapons shoot. One is single target and one has big spread for multi-targets. The issue is that the Left 4 Dead 1 minigun is just straight up better in every single way. It does exactly what the Left 4 Dead 2 version does, but faster, better, and the only disadvantage is damage, which you can't tell because of the high firing speed. Besides that, the main issue I've got with these turret weapons is that they are unbalanceable. Most versus games, and most definitely competitive Left 4 Dead 2 games, and I'm even willing to say casual play, people just don't touch the turrets for two main reasons. It's too team reliant. People gotta cover you, and usually turret placements and turret spots are not as safe as other more effective camping spots. And worst of all, while your team is sacrificing their positioning just to protect you, the turret overheats pretty fast if you overuse it. Similarly, bots are not programmed well around the turrets, leading to awkward ways of dealing massive damage to infected. If you know how to exploit the tank's aggro with the turret weapons, they could be a huge asset. But other than that, I really don't see another reason to use them. They're too risky, and you're a stationary target, which is always bad news in Left 4 Dead 2. I believe the turret placements were made bad, mostly because if they were in a good spot, they would be broken. The turrets in themselves, baseline, without all the cons, like the infected sneaking up on you, and all the other protection stuff in the team having to really pull their weight to protect you. When put in a good area of the map where you could dish out the damage without any of the cons, they are really good, almost overpowered. So this leads to an awkward situation where you can't really balance the turrets. You gotta put them at a bad spot for them to be balanced. So what do I say is the best solution to this? Well, just remove them completely. That's right, completely remove them or give them an ammo count, I don't know, it's unbalanceable in my opinion. Tier 3 has the same issues. Give more ammo to the M60 and it becomes broken. Even if you slightly give it more ammo, I'm talking about maybe 50 extra shots, it's gonna be still unfavorable to pick up because of the lack of ammo. So what are we gonna do here? Give it more ammo, make it more broken, or give it some ammo and it's still bad? It's just unbalanceable. Give it a reload and it automatically becomes the best weapon in the game because it one-shots common infected. If you leave it as is, it'll just be a weapon made for fun, to the point where the comment sections who defend this gun admit that it's bad because it's only made for fun, not functionality. Same goes with the chainsaw. Since it's essentially the exact same thing as the M60, it becomes a risky thing to do. Sacrifice your secondary just for a couple of seconds of Rambo. I don't even know how else to describe it. The grenade launcher is mostly perfect as is, a very high skill expressive weapon. The only buff that I could possibly think of is that it needs to one-shot the charger. I'm not joking. If it's a direct hit, it needs to one-shot. I believe it's BS that he doesn't even stumble from the grenade launcher, but he stumbles from everything else. I think if you increase the grenade launcher's ammo from 30 to maybe 45, it'll be perfect, literally perfect. But if you give any of these weapons refillable ammo, it will break the game. I really don't know the argument behind the tier 3 weapons or the special tier. People have been fighting about these weapons for forever in my comment section. To me, they feel subpar without an excessive amount of skill poured into that playstyle. This isn't the first time I play with something that is bad in a video game. In my opinion, the tier 3 is objectively bad. I play freaking Bounty Hunter in Vermintide, and I will admit that he is a bad freaking character, especially with the nerf to his ult a million years ago. They nerfed his ult so he doesn't even get it back that fast. And on top of that, Cataclysm in books makes Bounty Hunter's ult come out even slower. He just can't keep up with the other freaking heroes that do more damage with their ults. But even then, I still like to play with him, just like how I like to use the tier 3 when I see him. I use him when I see him. I like the tier 3. That doesn't mean they're objectively good. They're bad. I don't care what anybody says. If you say they're good, you are out of your mind and you must only play on freaking normal where everything is good. Because regardless, it doesn't really matter in the end of the day. I got off track. The biggest issue with tier 3 is that for such a high skill ceiling for weapons, you rarely get the practice you need to be good at them because they're so rare to find in the base game and in custom maps. Unless you of course use add-ons, which always fix these issues. But in order to be good with these weapons, you have to practice. And you can't practice unless they spawn often, which they don't, which is another big issue I have with them. Probably the biggest issue I have with tier 3. People have completely dunked on our weapons video. I mean, there's so many comments just clowning on it because there are realism expert based. But from what I've seen from other videos that try to make a tier list, even Reddit posts, out of these weapons, is that one weapon reigns supreme over all of the game. But when you ask me, what is the best weapon in Left 4 Dead 2? What are we talking about here? The best weapon in versus, the best weapon in survival, the best weapon in expert, the best weapon in expert realism, the best weapon to troll with?
What is that? I'm down! I'm down! Did you mean to do that?
As far as I know, we're the first channel to say that certain weapons excel in certain game modes and difficulty. It all depends, because to clump everything into one tier list and it just completely puts Left 4 Dead 2's nuanced gameplay to shame. Before I go any deeper into this, I've already talked about all the damage that each weapon does, alongside what makes them so good in multiple videos. But I believe I didn't go into this game mode and difficulty thing deep enough with the weapons. So this is going to be the video where I finally just tackle the last part of this weapon nonsense dilemma. The reason why snipers are so good in versus is because versus is set on normal difficulty. Thus it one-shots common specials, the witch, the jockey, and your mom. Yeah, the AK can do that too, but not from a million miles away like the sniper. Once a player with good aim gets their hands on a sniper, you're dead! Shotguns are cool, but they simply can't catch up with the sniper when the sniper can do the same thing from the moon.
That one's mine.
No, my tier list isn't expert realism based. If you had just watched it, you would.
Will you cut that shit out?
Look man, how many times do I have to say it? Debating which weapon is better is nonsense, because it all depends on the scenario. If we're talking about versus, you ought to pick up the sniper, because as long as you have line of sight of your teammates, they're safe. If you pair a team with 3 snipers and 1 shotgun, it's just unbeatable. The rest of the snipers just stay back while the front liner with the shotgun just takes care of all the commons. That isn't to say the assault rifles are bad, it's just that they can't keep up with these 2 other weapons. Versus, the specials are the biggest threat, your enemy players, and the sniper directly counters that, and that's why it's so good. Switch over to expert realism, and now the shotguns reign supreme due to their damage to the common infected, and snipers are now garbage because they take forever to kill commons. The rifles, while dealing with the same issues with the snipers, are now better because they still take down specials from a long range and have enough firing speed to cover their low damage to commons. When swarmed by common infected due to the low damage, just switch to the melees. Shotguns have this issue where they cannot keep up forever. You have to reload at one point. That's why these secondaries now become the make it or break it of these weapons. Because with the deagle, it can really help out with those long range targets and giving you that extra 8 shots when getting swarmed. The rifle and melee combo are so strong because they could deal with everything. Meanwhile, the sniper and shotgun deagle combo struggles greatly against the witch. Now tier 3 becomes much more valuable because they one-shot in expert realism, something that becomes very rare in said difficulty, and game mode. It's like a big swap in the lower difficulties. The specials now become the stress factor, but in realism, the commons are the big stress factor. You know, it's just stuff I covered a bunch of times in the old videos. Expert without realism changes the playing field again. Shotguns become more powerful due to their crowning ability, and rifles do more damage, but they're not as good as the shotgun, since the shotgun deals with most things, with the deagle much easier in expert. The rifle retains all those special abilities in expert realism, but of course it's a lot harder to dodge the switches swing than it is to just counter. And snipers retain their power due to being able to pierce and one-shot common infected. Anything below expert, the game changes again. You're starting to get the point here, I hope. Tier 3, the deagle and the melees, even the snipers, kind of lose their power. Why? Because everything in the game suddenly one-shots, and if it doesn't, it comes pretty close to one-shot. The AK becomes the most powerful weapon because it one-shots, and it's an automatic weapon, and that's not even mentioning the laser sights, which only makes the AK stronger in every game mode and difficulty. The context matters. There is no best weapon in Left 4 Dead 2. Every weapon has a certain role to fill, though there are better weapons within their own categories, like the SG being clearly better than the M16, which I'll get back to later. People really didn't like it when I said the AK is the best weapon in the game in my opinion, but I'm not sure what to tell you. When I make a tier list that people were asking for, my opinion, no matter how statistical I get, it's just gonna be my opinion in the end of the day. Survival is depending on the playstyle you have. If you want to camp, use the weapon that is closest to the camping spot and just keep picking it up. If you want to run around like a madman, just use whatever, it doesn't matter. Best strat is to God spot for those gold medals anyways. Now moving on to the melees. They all have the same hitbox issues, but even if they didn't, some are just straight up bad. The pitchfork, I cannot stress how horrible this weapon is. It's the kind of weapon that makes you seriously question why it even exists in the game. Its swing pattern is vertical, then diagonal, and then delayed horizontal sweep. So it's basically a melee weapon without the AoE. It has one horizontal sweep that is delayed and misses. It's a disaster of a weapon. The only cool thing about it is its unique gibbing animation that it does to the zombies. The shovel is another last stand weapon, and it's miles ahead of the pitchfork. It still suffers from that slow attack speed for some reason. In fact, it's the slowest melee weapon in the game, so killing the tank takes a little longer. There's another thing about the melees that I never really spoke too much about, but have always bothered me. The difference between the sharp and the blunt melees. Sharp melee weapons like the katana, axe, and machete can cut the smoker's tongue and instantly kill zombies, so you could walk right through them at the moment the melee makes contact with them. Blunt weapons like the baseball bat, guitar, and the frying pan, well, they don't have any advantages over the sharp ones. Blunt melees can't cut the smoker's tongue. Their ragdolls will still linger for a bit, which block you when you actually swing at them. The difference isn't big, but let's be fair, it makes the melees kind of unbalanced. Blunt weapons should have something that makes them better than the sharp melees, or at least something to compete with them. Last thing I want to touch on the melees, and then I'm done with them, is I really think they need to fix these hitboxes. These hitboxes are broken. They're horrible. The Last Stand really should have prioritized the melees above everything that it fixed. Other than that, I think that's everything about the melees, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a comment out there that says something I missed. I don't know. In some cases, I am willing to say that some weapons are better than others. The snipers are a good example. The military sniper is just straight up better than the hunting rifle. The only drawback is the lower accuracy, which is negated by scoping in and getting laser sights. The SG again has the same stats as the M16, but it now has a scope. The Uzi has straight up less damage than the Mac and less accuracy, and the Spaz has a tighter spread, but a total of less than 1 damage than the auto shotgun. And of course, the AK does more damage and does less friendly fire damage than the Scar. The melees are the same. Why take the blunt weapon when a sharp weapon does the same thing but better? Why take the pitchfork over the axe when the axe is just easier to use? I believe that is everything about the Left 4 Dead 2 weapons. Hell, I've even talked about the unused weapons of this game. Yeah, there's even more game modes like Scavenge or Last Man on Earth, which all use different weapons, but I think you've gotten the point already. The only possible thing people can say now is that I haven't talked about the reloading animations, but I've been saving that video whenever I get to Mr. Beast levels of money so I could buy them in real life and show the real life reloading animation compared to the in-game reloading animation. Maybe when I hit 1 million subs I'll do it, I don't know. Talking about the weapons is nonsense. Putting them in a tier list is nonsense. And trying to make sense of them is nonsense. And I did all of those things. So am I the one who's nonsense? No.
Actually hanging? Will I die if I fall in the water?
Yeah.